You can totally hear the sounds of the shooting range right over this berm here. Sounds cool if you ask me. Just gonna send this text real quick. Yeah, so do you like the sounds? As long as it's not too loud, I guess. I'll start off with one tip here. Tip number one for you, the new shooter. Well, first of all, it's not totally necessary to go shooting for the first time with other people. It's okay to just go on your own. That's exactly what I did, actually. It turned out to be an awesome time and just revolutionary in my life, actually. So definitely don't be intimidated. The shooting range is not something that's filled with a bunch of wannabe cowboys or Navy SEALs. It's a lot of great people, actually. In fact, I can recall once I made the mistake of saying that I was thirsty in a shooting range full of people, and within maybe 2 minutes I had like 3 people running to their vehicles and getting me a drink. It wasn't any type of emergency or anything like that, but just something as simple as being thirsty and having people run to their cars and trucks to help you. It's actually funny to take note of the vehicles that some people drive. You'll see someone who pulls up in a cheap old beat up Honda Civic, and they come out with some new space age gun with a silencer on it, have a bunch of ammo with them, really nice spotting scope. It's pretty cool. And it's not a great example what I just provided of myself, that I was without water at the shooting range, but it does go to show, beyond that exception, that one thing getting into guns can help you with is actually preparedness in general, like having water in your vehicle, having various medical supplies even, of course having a firearm, an amazing tool of defense and recreation, history, science, lots of amazing stuff. One thing I want you to promise me: I have a feeling that you're going to get into guns, most likely, especially after today, after meeting here, kind of calming your nerves. I mean, it's relaxing anyway, being in nature. Something that being into guns kind of draws you out into nature. It's kind of another plus of it. But beyond that, I just want you to make a promise with me that when you get more into guns, let's just hope that we don't get into one of those friendly gun guy feuds where we see which one has the newest, latest, and greatest pew pew machine. It can get as expensive and or as cheap as you allow it to. And as far as having the newest space age thing, one might view that as negative, but of course it's not. The fact that there are manufacturers out there who are coming up with these amazing products that you can purchase and experience for yourself. And the beautiful part of it is that not only does it not have to be some expensive brand new gun you can buy, of course, from a private sale or something, but you can buy something cheap. It doesn't even have to be second hand. You can buy something like maybe like this, a simple high point. It's a 40 caliber, the JCP. It's a cool little gun, 40 Smith & Wesson. It has these colored in sights, even a little laser on it. This thing costs you hardly anything. And worst comes to worst, you can use it as a boat anchor. Listen to the rattle. The rattle of just a regular high point. High points have these big old slides. They're blowback, which means basically it has to have this heavy of a slide. Pretty cool stuff though. These are cheap. You can buy them in different calibers, 9mm, 45, 40 caliber. And if you're more into rifles, you can get the high point carbine. I'm staring at a cat right now. There's a cat. There's a little gray cat just watching me right over there. It's kind of cool how I even noticed it. It's not running away. It's kind of cool. Kind of tucked in over there. But the point is, not only can you buy cheap things like this high point, and not only do you not have to buy from a manufacturer, you can make your own gun. This is another very cool aspect of being into firearms. If you're the type that likes to build or learn about things in kind of 3 dimensions, take them apart, put them back together, that's another great aspect of being into firearms. You can make things such as this. There goes the cat. It's cool. There's lots of creatures running around in here, deer especially. This right here, what does this look like to you? Probably just a regular, normal pipe. How much do you think a pipe like this costs? Dollars? Maybe not even. More pipe. That's all this is. Yeah, it's a shotgun. Kind of cool, right? I call this the Home Depot shotgun. You can go from having no materials whatsoever to having a shotgun like this. For like $20 to $30, and that's going from having nothing to having something as cool as this. Of course, it's custom painted. I actually used brake caliper paint to paint it this black and red. But we're talking about a fun project if you like to build things and just kind of create, where you can put a little 12 gauge pipe shotgun together. Just used a table grinding machine to grind down this area. So that it can slide into the smaller pipe right there. You just simply put a 12 gauge round in there. It sticks in perfectly. And then aiming it wherever you want to shoot, you just point it and you push the pipe into the smaller pipe, and there are some components, if you can even call them that, inside of the smaller pipe that will detonate or rather impact and detonate the primer of the shot shell, literally creating a shotgun. All it is this one large pipe. There's a deer track, and then this cap just screws on and off. There's actually nothing special about this pipe itself, it's just another pipe. The special part is just in the cap, and it is this simple little, there is a metal washer inside of that, and some JB weld, just some type of metal welding material, and a metal BB. That's all it is. And that metal BB is what impacts the primer of the shot shell when you shove the longer pipe down the smaller one. And you literally have a homemade $20 do-it-yourself Home Depot shotgun. And that's the kind of cool stuff that you can create with simple ideas. 3D printing is big now. If you can see yourself getting into 3D printing, firearms and accessories might be something that you will absolutely fall in love with, innovating and printing, CNC machining. It's cool stuff if you ask me, and it goes beyond the pew-pewing. That's just another aspect of firearms that's really cool. And then you have here the entire unit. It's pretty great stuff. Let me go put this back. Now, of course, there's even more to love about getting into firearms, and just things that, in this scenario in particular, can just calm your nerves about it, just give a more realistic view, more than some intimidating shooting range trip. Think about Another aspect, hunting. I mentioned earlier how there are so many animals amongst us. There was one time I was at the shooting range and I had it to myself, and I thought, wow, I love this. It happens occasionally. It's great when there are people there. Some of the best people I've met have been at the shooting range. Kind, very nice people. But sometimes you get it to yourself. And one time when I was there alone, there was a big family of turkey. A mama hen and her multiple chicks, her little babies. And I realized, not only am I experiencing just the beauty of this nature, but you're never really alone when you're out in nature. And it's something where not only does firearms draw you out into the world, but something like that, you can experience the animals, and even you can hunt. You can put food on the table, learn about basic survival, or go as deep into that as you want. And these are all things that once again connect with something like medical preparedness, making sure that you have the correct medical gear that you may need during any of your trips, just to have redundant safety. It's great stuff. But to experience the tasting of a meal that you did not go to the grocery store and buy off of a shelf, but you went out into nature and actually harvested. It's something quite amazing. And it's so enjoyable. Don't be afraid as far as hunting goes. Oh, you might not harvest an animal. Just think about this. The sounds that you hear. But once again, it doesn't just stop there, because we have competition shooting even. If you are wanting to do something particularly athletic, if you like sports, getting up and moving your body and learning practical skills that are absolutely amazing and fun, so much fun, we have competition shooting, which is something that might pique your interest. We have clay shooting, which is like a mix of both competition shooting and hunting, because you can use your skills of shooting flying clay pigeons, sporting clays out of the air. You can use that to hunt, as you can shooting perhaps an AR-15, great for hunting. There's 3-gun competitions, where you have a rifle, a shotgun, a handgun, and you can participate in run and gun competitions, diving behind barriers, shooting at steel targets, and really pushing yourself in the real world, getting exercise and learning practical, just so fun skills. And it's really a great thing. Does any of that pique your interest at all? Maybe you're a gamer. It's possible. What about all of those firearms that you see in video games? Some of them, of course, are real. They're really out there. And you can buy them, you can rent them, you can go to a gun show and hold them. Think of one. Maybe a Scar Heavy. Maybe it's just a basic AR-15 platform, an AK-47. Let's go with an AK-47. Learning about it and experiencing it Maybe you have spent years shooting AK-47s in video games, and you're not actually sure what caliber most AKs are chambered for. Maybe you go to a gun show and pick one up and you realize 7.62 by 39. How about that? Just experiencing something that was once only something in a video game, but now is real and you're holding. It's quite amazing. There's also an aspect of the historian in you. It will bring it out. Firearms will do that. Speaking of the AK in 7.62 by 39, think about some other guns that are in 7.62 by 54R. These guns exist. For example, the Mosin Nagant rifle. You can buy one of these rifles for $250 and have yourself a piece of history, a military surplus rifle. What if you like history? And not only that, maybe the military, your military's history, you can look into that. And the thing is, it's not just looking into it. It's not a two-dimensional thing. It is a real experience when you have some piece of history in your hands and you pull the trigger. You actually use it and experience that. It's a rush of adrenaline. I really do love it. And I'm hoping that this is kind of soothing your anxiety of going to the shooting range for the first time. It's quite amazing. It truly is, though, like other hobbies that you may have. It is not totally different. How I got into firearms myself was I was interested in cars. Being a car guy, it's expensive though. I was playing the video games, I was seeing the cars in person at car shows or at the drag strip and track, drifting. And I loved the idea of taking parts off, putting parts back on, building a vehicle, seeing how parts affect performance, customizing how something looks and making it unique to your own, to yourself. Maybe even getting innovative and backyard mechanicking something. And it's all possible. And I was just thinking, what's something a little bit cheaper that could be kind of similar to this, where it's all of that, something practical that is extremely fun, that I could customize, build, learn, and it clicked. Being into firearms will do that, and so much more. But it's just like, what are you into? Perhaps computers? Maybe you build your own gaming computer and you have that same interest in seeing something and wanting to take it apart, put it back together, learn everything about it. It's possible. It's the same thing with firearms. You'll have a new love for it, and it teaches you things that are very important. Self-reliance, it goes along with the preparedness. The ability to take responsibility for your own safety, being aware of what is going on. It eliminates a lot of the nanny state type of things. And who knows, maybe because something can be dangerous, it doesn't mean that you should be scared of it. Maybe the path of least resistance should not always be traveled, because there are important things like recreation and defense, especially victimless recreation. Indeed, the science of firearms is amazing as well. I was watching videos of slow motion bullets, projectiles flying through the air, studying the sounds and various waves that you can see from a projectile. You can reload your own ammo and literally just customize everything and understand the science of a primer, detonating, igniting powder, and experiencing it, sending a projectile from one point to another. I mean, it's borderline like a practical version of golf, where you have some type of projectile and you want it to go from one point to another. Can you get it to that point? This was a science that entangles itself beautifully with history, where we have not necessarily the first manufacturers, but just the first people back when guns needed to be produced, just like they do now, but there wasn't as many of them out there. You literally had people just sitting in their homes creating these firearms. That's where a lot of them come from. Many of the main platforms kind of start off with the cliche, someone in their garage putting something together. Kind of reminds you of stories that you may already be familiar with various technology firms, companies, businesses in general that just start off by someone in their own world creating. It really is an amazing thing. Also, it's something that you can have fun with, no matter who you're with, or if you're with nobody. Shooting by yourself can be extremely fun. You can challenge yourself and do weird stuff that maybe you don't want to do at the shooting range when there's other people around. Maybe you're practicing drawing from your holster. It's really an art that you can maybe not perfect, but you can advance in, like anything else that you may have interest in. There's lots of different things, different nerves that firearms can just be very attractive in your mind with. It's not necessarily all about the pew pew pew, but that's definitely a fun part. I'm just trying to calm you a little bit, make you realize that there are so many aspects to firearms that are just, you just don't have to worry. It really is okay. Yes, indeed, though. Hearing protection is a big deal. And as I have said before, silencers are an amazing form of hearing protection that should be extremely easy to come by and available. And if you know what you're doing when wanting a silencer, I mean, you can make one on your own very, very, very easily. It's basically easier than making that shotgun I showed you. You can make your own silencer. But hearing protection is very important. That's, of course, just a tip that I would definitely advise you to wear hearing protection over your ears or using a silencer. You can do that. And it goes back into the science of, well, now that you're using a silencer, how is the gas system in your gun? And maybe you want to use subsonic ammo that doesn't break the sound barrier because it'll be just that much more quiet. Or maybe you want to use a combination of a silencer and hearing protection over your ears. I have an example right here. These are the headphones or the headset that I use. The Howard Light by Honeywell. These are the Impact Sports. Really common if you see videos, people shooting. So often it is with these. Howard Light headphones. These are electronic. You put them over your ears and they have these microphones. And you can actually amplify the sound of the outside world. And whenever a gun goes off, it mutes. In that short amount of time, it mutes. So you have regular hearing most of the time. But whenever there's a gunshot, it acts as regular hearing protection, which is quite amazing if you ask me. Another aspect of just the science of not even a firearm, but an accessory of a firearm. A piece of electronic hardware. Who knows, maybe you're the type that wants to take one of these apart and just see what it's made of. Maybe you can improve it, make your own, or maybe you just want to use regular earplugs. Those will work. Again, or a silencer with the right setup would absolutely be great. Can go as expensive or as cheap as you would like, so it's really not very prohibitive as far as that goes. In fact, you can go so expensive that you get a gun that fires something like this. A 50 caliber, 50 BMG. This is a tracer. And this is not a maraca, believe it or not. This is actually, what you're hearing, is the gunpowder inside of the shell casing itself. Isn't that cool? Like, maybe you're the type of mind that wonders how much powder is in here. Maybe I can make my own round and put this much powder, or this type of powder. Big old primer. Great big projectile. And you can get $15,000 guns that shoot this projectile. You can go blow up a free refrigerator that you found on Craigslist and picked up. You helped someone out by taking their old refrigerator. You go out and just pack it with tannerite or some explosive that you can get at your local gas station. Pack it up with that, blow it up. Just makes for some great fun. And the sounds are really cool, can't really deny that. A 50 BMG. If you don't think that's cool, you're crazy. Going back to various personal protection stuff, we have eyewear. Do try to wear various eye protection. You can have regular sunshades. These are safety glasses though. It's good stuff. I do want to see the first time that you have a hot piece of brass that like goes down your shirt. It's kind of funny. Another tip that I might have, this is just random stuff. In particular for today, I don't necessarily foresee this happening, but let's say you're shooting the Glock 17 that I'll have at the shooting range, and you accidentally drop it. Well, that's okay. The thing about guns is most of them are very durable, and if you drop them, it's really not a problem. It is advised though, and this is a tip, that if you drop a gun, don't scramble for it while it's in the air falling. Just let it fall. It's not going to go off. I have right here my everyday carry Glock 17. You can drop this thing. In fact, I have, and it's not going to go off. There's nothing to be afraid of, but of course, it's not necessarily the best idea for you to drop the gun and then go fumbling for it. There's the various just basic safety rules that you should abide by. Keeping a gun pointed in the safest direction possible. Keeping your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Simple range etiquette, if you will. Cool stuff. Here's an example of when you get into customizing a gun. You want to paint a gun maybe, or modify how it looks, or add various components to it. You can do that. I have an example here of just a regular buttstock for an AR-15. This was what existed before the aftermarket one that I put on. Soon enough, you'll have enough gun parts to make a gun out of your spare gun parts. But this here came off, and I put the bump stock, the slide fire OGR bump stock, on the rifle. I have a different buffer tube that I wanted to use, and this is the regular adjustable position bump, not bump stock, but the regular stock can adjust to different positions. It's very cool. Firearms are the ultimate equalizer. If I had to describe them in 2 words, I would say that firearms are fun equalizers. The community is great. Just like being into cars, how you can not know someone and then totally have a connection with them just based off of one thing. Firearms are like that. You really can. Especially if someone has a gun on them, like maybe they're carrying a gun and they tell you what gun it is. Kind of jokingly, but seriously at the same time, it's like you can tell kind of who they are by what they carry. Sometimes you can tell who someone is by the fact that they don't carry. We have the buffer tube. That's this part here. And then the adjustable stock. It's very cool. Here's another tool. If you're the handyman building type, this is an AR-15 wrench. Has a bunch of different tools all rolled into one hunk of metal. I do hope that this has calmed you down though, my friend, and just kind of has let you relax and understand firearms just a little teeny bit deeper. Even if you just relaxed, you know, we're about to go to the shooting range and have an amazing day. There's just hundreds of birds deciding to fly over right now. It's very cool. So how are you feeling though? More calm, at ease. That is good. Yes, indeed, my friend. When you go home, make sure to maybe watch some gun-related videos. The community really is great. Content creators and viewers alike online. The people who you meet in person. So the people at the range are awesome. The people online are pretty dang cool. So let's go ahead and drive over just right around the corner to the shooting range, my friend. By the way, would you happen to have gas money? Oh no, you don't. Oh, you don't carry cash, yeah. That's actually okay. I mean, I thought, you know, ammo isn't free, gas isn't free. Maybe, I actually have a PayPal. You can just send it to me. paypal.me/armedasmr if you feel like donating. It's okay if not, don't feel bad. It's just like $100 worth of ammo we're gonna go through, and, you know, drove an hour to get out here. It's okay though. No big deal if not. Anyway, let's go on, my friend.